All right, so then, if you're just joining us, I'm Jose Otero. This is Per Schneider. That's Brian Altano. We are the cast of Nintendo Wish Chat, which is a podcast that you can find on IGN, and we are going to talk about Zelda is now a Wii U and NX game.
Shocker.
It is going to be the only playable game on the E3 show floor for Nintendo's
Okay,
booth.
that's a real shocker, though.
That's a real shocker. And yeah, nothing new to really say there. This game is not coming out in 2016. It is a 2017 game, and the language did not commit to a launch game.
No, and I thought the announcement why was why they would go all like in on Zelda for E3 was kind of funny. They said for complete immersion. Now, what that translates to, though, I remember E3 when they showed off Twilight Princess. They on the show floor they had built out this really beautiful like Disneyland style presentation of Twilight Princess with like animatronic wolf and everything. I think that's what they're going for. They'll transform the entire booth into this kind of like more Disneyland experience around the Zelda game. And I think that'll be impressive. And as you said before, you know, like Nintendo's E3 booths were always a little uneven. Like sometimes you had like two amazing games, and then you had all this other stuff that would kind of get shortchanged, right? Like nobody would talk about the Yoshi or the Kirby game because you had Smash Brothers and Mario Kart. Well, and so it's not that terrible that they focus on this admittedly pretty freaking cool.
It always felt like a Nintendo booths at E3 feels like a sort of like a microcosmic version of a theme park or something like that, where they have like the Bayonetta corner and here's the Star Fox Lounge over here, and they get these giant resin statues of Donkey Kong, and you can climb inside and take pictures of them. Each one has its own specified area, so it's going to be a little interesting to just walk up and be like, Zelda. Like, there's not going to be a Nintendo booth at E3. There's going to be a Zelda booth at E3, and it's going to be huge. Like there's
not a game that comes out this year. That's the biggest change.
Their space is big. Their space is very big, and this is like so. For like also to piggyback on this has just been a weird E3 already, and it hasn't even happened yet. The whole thing about was it EA, Activision are removing their booths from the show floor and moving their presence onto sort of trucks and outside events outside of the show floor.
So becoming gathering of developers.
I think in general we're seeing a theme that E3 is probably not traditionally what we thought it would always be. I think people are sort of moving that conversation a little bit and saying, well, why does it have to be like this? We've spent, it costs so much money to build a booth at E3.
The broadcast angle is still the same, though. They may broadcast other games that are coming out for Wii U or 3DS. Pokemon is obviously a big game, right?
Pokemon Sun and Moon will somewhere exist in that booth. It will not be playable, and this has happened before, but it will 100% be part of their presence. And I mean, it takes no science to tell you that Christmas for 3DS is probably going to be fine on the back of just that game. Pokemon brings in a lot of eyeballs, a lot of attention, and that is a big deal. More importantly, if it's still in fact going to be coming out this year, which I don't see that announcement changing, especially if NX is coming out in 2017.
I agree.
Pokemon Company always goes for install base. They're not going to start fresh on a new system. I do want to say, though, that Nintendo can absolutely announce games via whatever presentation format they choose this year. Clearly, it's going to be a direct video. I don't see it being any other way, mostly focused on Zelda. But to me, it says one of two things. Either they have a lot of confidence in Zelda, or, Zelda is the only thing that is in a playable state right now because their other projects are coming along and not ready for hands-on prime time.
And NX, I think, you know, with a console launching in March, they have to put their biggest studios on NX to really sell what this machine is about at launch, because that didn't happen with the Wii U, right? Like if the Wii U had launched with Mario Maker, people would have said, "Oh, I get it. This is really cool," right? And so I think they don't want to repeat that mistake. But yeah, the saying like not announcing NX means you can't show anything your core teams are working on if they're working on NX.
Well, it's also, not only are we going into a complete radio silence on the NX before it even ramps up, we're not hearing anything about the Wii U, which means that we're in this weird stasis between the death of one console and the birth of another, and it's quiet on both fronts. And as a Nintendo fan, you're sitting in the middle being like, I really hope that Zelda demo at E3 is enough to carry me over for 8 months, because other than that, like you said, you've got Paper Mario, you've got a couple 3DS games, we've got a couple iPhone games coming or mobile games, but there's not really like, the Nintendo consoles don't really have this big hurrah at the end. They kind of fizzle out. We're witnessing that again. It's always sad to watch, I'll put it that way, right? Yeah. So it's going to be a weird year for Wii U owners. We just got Star Fox, which is cool. Yeah. You're going to get a couple more titles here and there.
Well, the hurrah is usually a transition. It's you can buy Zelda on the machine that you own, which is like, let's face it, that's nice, right? It's not like they canceled a game and pulled the rug out from everybody there. They delayed a title, which is sad, but you know it's going to be better in the end. But but you can buy it on Wii U, but you can also say, you know what, I'm ready for a new console. I'm going to start my NX console life with this Zelda game rather than playing it on the last one.
Yes.
And I actually applaud them for that. They told us last year this thing is still coming for Wii U. They're sticking to that messaging. But the big question is, what else will you have to at least tide people over? Because this is clearly a transition year. This is not a great year for the company. You have a lot of initiatives going on, including smartphone, including your Wii U home console, including 3DS, attractions, all these other things that they're trying to basically race around to do. So I'm just, at E3, the important thing they need to show is that whatever software they have is cool.